I'm not going to do a typical intro. I really like telling stories, and that's how I'm going to handle it. And our story tonight starts in 2021. I was in Gran Canaria. I was really having fun. I was there with my friend Anna. Obviously, no one had told me that Gran Canaria is, well, not really sunny during the summer. And I went there expecting summer. And yeah, I didn't get that. Still was quite fun until I got the usual text message that you get in those occasions from an agency owner, a B2B brand. I'm looking to grow my agency. I'm looking to grow my business. Can you help me? And this is where we started. So, we started diving into the campaigns that they had been running in the company. And this was more or less the overview. I don't know if you can resonate with it. The team based in Asia, they were looking to attract big brands from the US as clients. They didn't have any brand awareness, obviously. No one knew who they were. And they didn't have budget for paid ads. Duh. They didn't have a marketing team either, and they were doing some cold email, but it wasn't really working well. So that's where we enter the story. Over the period of about 24 months, we applied 5 basic optimizations in their cold email campaigns and strategy that literally changed the game forever for them. That brand, I've been working with them for a while now. Their name is Pixofix. They grew literally from 2K a month to 3 million plus in revenue using just outbound sales. They now work with clients like TYR, JCPenney, Fashion Nova. I'm sure you've seen some of these brands. And yeah, the truth was this was not luck. The exact same principles and the exact same ways to build outbound campaigns I had been using for a while. I used them to build the largest marketing lineup in the history of conferences, having Seth Godin, Ariana Huffington, Scott Galloway as guests and speakers. We use them. We use the exact same formula for B2B brands and software brands to generate 20 plus demo calls a month. This is Adlib. We've been consistently getting them 5 to 10 calls booked every week for the last year and a half now. And it also works on enterprises because a lot of times the question I get is, does this process work if I want to really reach out to big organizations and companies, or is this just something that spammers do? Well, you have the answer in front of you. On the right, I have screenshots from BlackRock, Diageo, Autodesk, Best Buy, ESPN, Chilton International, and I shared this with a client, Phil. He got a response from Steve Wozniak, and he was posting about it on Instagram, how he started a conversation with him and they ended up becoming good friends. I don't know if that part is true, but we definitely got the response. And this is exactly what I want to share with you tonight, the perfect 5 blueprint, the 5 optimizations that allow us to turn any outbound campaign around. Our secret sauce for cold email copywriting, not exactly what you think, but how to do personalization as well. And then the killer offer framework that allows us to grow literally any brand or agency from a boring offer to something that's interesting. I think I've skipped the introduction. So I'm the CEO of Sales Captain, former head of AdWorld. I've grown several multi-million B2B tech businesses. I really hate e-commerce when it comes to marketing. I authored the book called Email Secrets, and yes, I have interviewed quite a few interesting names in the field of marketing. So okay, sure. If I make it sound so easy, why isn't everyone doing it? And why isn't everyone getting amazing success with cold emails? And why do your campaigns or other campaigns or things you read out there suck? And the truth about cold email and life is that it's really, really easy to get it wrong, especially in 2024. This is the usual cold email campaign. Getting inconsistent results. Maybe you get 1 positive, 2 positives 1 week, and then crickets. Your email accounts are getting blocked frequently, with increased frequency starting 2024. You're exhausting the available leads that you have that you've identified really fast. You get really low response rates. People reply saying you're a spammer or, please stop. And most of all, you have no idea how to fix it. Yes, cold email is dead, and we can spend a minute to cry about it, but we're not here to cry. We're here to see how to fix it. Before we do that, who or what killed cold email? And I did the postmortem, and it's 4 things. People using mass email versus personalization. You see guys out there saying, oh, I'll reach out to 10,000 prospects a month, instead of saying I'll reach out to 1,000 prospects, but I'll aim to actually get the positive response from those people. Everyone using the same lead generation tools, having no intent in their data and in their campaigns and just say, I want to reach out to the founders of Fortune 1000 or 100 companies, that means that we're all reaching out to the same inboxes of the same people. Right now, if you have founder in your title on LinkedIn, your inbox is probably getting bombarded. Email clients and AI spam filters, if you haven't noticed, especially starting February 2024, if you have any Gmail addresses in your prospect lists, or if you just exceed the spam complaint rates by even a little bit, Google's going to be really fast to block your email accounts. And lastly, we don't do any marketing or any content around our brand and our business, and we just expect outbound to work. And we're really in a really tough spot. Like literally, this morning, I got a text from a friend of mine saying, hey, I've seen my open rates go from 40 to 60% to 10%. What's been happening? Do you have anything like that? It is really, really bad. So what is the secret formula? How do we make it work? I'm calling it the perfect five because I really like the name. There's no secret behind why I'm calling it like that. And it's a combination of these five elements that I'm going to walk you through. The audience, the messaging and the offer, and these go hand in hand, channel hacks and infrastructure, website and socials and content. Then you're talking about cold email, where the webinar about the future of outbound, what do webinars and social and content have to do with it? Bear with me and you'll see really, really soon. If you're here just for the bonuses, by the way, let me just get it out of the way. This is the QR code. This is the link. You can you can leave the call. The rest is going to be really interesting. But yeah, if you're here for that, you can access it. Otherwise, I'll share the link again towards the end of the presentation. Building the audience. And our first story for tonight is how we replaced 25 team members using Clay and 2 data experts. Obviously, before you get started with outbound, you have to you have to nail your ICP and your niches. You have to be really clear about the kinds of companies and prospects you're going to reach out to. I have a template I'm going to share with you, but more importantly, I want to share a different message here. E-commerce is not a niche. Software is not a niche. Agencies is not a niche. Like if you're trying to reach out to groups of people and you're just saying, I'm reaching out to e-commerce stores, this is not a niche. Apparel is a niche. Pet product is a niche. Electronics is a niche. Food and beverage, health and beauty, these are niches. Just saying, I'm going to reach out to e-commerce stores or reaching out to agencies or reaching out to software brands means by default in your targeting that you'll be using terminology that's really generic. No one's going to resonate with you and you're not just going to succeed. So getting it out of the way, this is the lead generation workflow. This is how we do outbound in 2024. You define your ICPs. That's obvious. Everyone's going to tell you that. The second thing you want to do, though, is estimate your TAM. And you can use a number of tools for that, from LinkedIn Sales Navigator to Apollo to ZoomInfo. What does estimating your TAM mean? It means knowing that given the criteria that you've set, so you do your mapping, you say my ICP is manufacturing software companies. Okay, how many of them are out there? Unless you know that, any outbound you do is just going to be based on random numbers that you found and a number amount of leads, because your goal is to identify your TAM and then reach out to as many people and as many times as you can within a specific period of time. So once you have your TAM in place, you have to segment either by sub-industry, seniority, function of the people that you're reaching out to, then splitting your accounts in tiers based on the company size. Obviously, you're selling different things or different versions of your product or your service to your Dream 100 clients, which are typically really big clients, mid-market, and then the lower end of the market. And the importance of that is your Dream 100 clients, you might not even do cold email to reach out to them, or lower end of the market, you might also not do cold email, or you might do different types of campaigns with different expected results. Fifth part, adding sales triggers to prioritize accounts looking to buy. I'll explain why this is important. And lastly, leveraging communities and social targeting for relevance. So if there's a LinkedIn event happening on cold email, let's say, maybe you reach out to those people and say, hey, I just wrote a book about cold email. Would you like access? For people that are a bit more visual, this is what it looks like. Define your ICPs, estimate how many people are in each ICP, segment them so that your message can be personalized, and this is the second step. Then split them in tiers, mid, low, high, include sales triggers, so prioritize the accounts that are actively looking to buy right now. And then lastly, use social signals, events, conferences, anything that you can to personalize your outreach. Now, aiming for data signals that indicate buying intent, I have an exhaustive list. I'll give you access in the end. It can be things like website rankings increased, the e-commerce store's revenues increased, or the number of products increased, company using a specific technology, starting to use a technology, stopping to use a technology. It could be getting funding. It could be getting acquired. It could be getting featured in the news, getting sued, anything that you might use as an input, as an intent signal to get started. And this is the reason why this is important. Let's assume that your total addressable market, you do your math, you define your niches, and you identify there's 120,000 companies within your market, right? And this is not unrealistic. It's the average company, more or less. Now, you're not going to reach out to one prospect from every company, right? You're going to reach out at least to 4 people per company, for 4 prospects for every account. That's and assuming you reach out to 3,000 prospects a month and you're not doing like mass email spamming campaigns, and you want to have them segmented by the industry, by the sub-industry, and have relevant messaging, I've done the math for you. It's going to take you 160 months or 13 years to reach out to all the prospects in your total addressable market once. Which means that the chances that your company is going to die because of cash flow issues, because you're not going to get maybe as many positives as you'd like, are really high. And this is what got me thinking, okay, how can we prioritize from the existing market that we have only the companies that are actually looking to buy right now? If you think of it as a funnel, I'm a big fan of funnels. Any funnel, what it tells you is that at the bottom of the funnel, the people that are looking to buy within 1 to 3 months is about 5% of the market. So even if you have 120,000 accounts that you're targeting, and that's not bad, what is bad is trying to reach out people at the top of the funnel and then getting, disheartened when they don't respond. Now, I promised you secrets, and I promised you a story for how we replaced a really, really big team using automation and tools. One of our secret tools, one of the pieces of technology that I think everyone's going to be using by not just the end of this webinar, but by the end of 2024, and we've already seen an increase interest and penetration in the market, is Clay. What Clay allows you to do, you can think of it as Apollo or as Zoom Info, so it's a data source, but it allows you to combine input and data from many different sources, from LinkedIn to Google Maps to store leads if you're in e-commerce, Salesforce, Google searches, and then having a list of accounts based on the input that you entered, finding the companies, and then finding the people using specific criteria, and then literally being able to build your lead lists within the environment of Clay. Think of it as a Google sheet. You enter the list of accounts, the list of companies that you're targeting based on the criteria you like. You enrich them, you enrich specific prospects, you can then segment them, and then you're ready to go live. This is a typical lead generation workflow that we build with Clay. This is an example I built, didn't really think about it. This is for a web development agency. Here's what I did. It's a web development agency, just to give you the background, that's targeting e-commerce stores that use specific enterprise technologies. So I first built a list of e-commerce stores, and I selected Shopify Plus and Magento in my case, because I wanted more enterprise stores. So I get the list of stores. Then I enriched that list with the revenue details, because I don't want to reach out to a store that's making less than $1 million a year. I used Clearbit, and that integration is just literally within Clay. I then found the specific store industry. Clay includes a really interesting tool called Claygent. Claygent, think of it as someone who can do Google research or go to a specific website and find information about a specific product, a specific business, or answer a specific question. In our case, we used to have a team of 25 people whose entire job was to get a list of companies, go through them, go to the website, and identify, okay, is this an e-commerce brand? What do they sell? So what I did in my case, I had a list of e-commerce stores. Store Leads gave me a generic category, like, maybe apparel or e-commerce, something that was really generic. And then I had Clayagent specifically go to each website and find the exact type of product that this store is selling. So when I reach out to them, I'm not going to just say, hey, I reached out because you're a Shopify store or because you're an e-commerce store. I can reach out and say, hey, because we've actually worked with other apparel stores like yours or with other loofah, there was a business that had a really niche product category, and Clayton was just able to identify it. So we build a list of accounts, we add additional details. We could have even added the rankings using SEMrush, for example, or SEMrush, like, what are they ranking for, any specific pages, any specific products. So we add the industry, then we find, do they have any open jobs? Because if you're looking to sell your services as an agency, it's a really good idea and it's a really good source of intent if someone's actually looking to hire a developer. And that's what we searched for. We searched, are they doing any active hires of developers? Then we told Clayton to go to their website and make a list of the job responsibilities for the developers. I'm not going to lie, that part failed, but I just included it to show you what's possible. Like, if you want to get the specific job descriptions of a company that's hiring, you can do that. If you want to ask Clay, find me a list of B2B or B2C companies or identify the price points, it can actually answer that for you. Then obviously the next step was finding contacts at the company. You want to reach out to someone, right? So you have the list of accounts. I used Clay. I found the list of prospects that matched the titles that we liked. And then I was able to build that prospect list. And the interesting part, I'm going to skip a few slides, is waterfall enrichment. What waterfall enrichment is if you're trying to find an email address or a phone number, what we used to do in the old days, we would use a tool like Apollo to find an email address. But what if Apollo could not find the email address? Well, we had to manually export the entire list and put all the prospects on a different tool so that we were able to find their email addresses. What Clay and other tools like Clay, Lambdas does the same thing, Better Contact does the exact same thing. They use multiple data providers. So let's say someone wants to find my email address. You'll try to find my email using Apollo. It fails. You'll try with a different tool, it fails. You'll try with a third tool and a fourth tool until you're able to find my email address. So this is one of the really interesting hacks that allows you to find literally 3 times more email addresses from a prospect list than you were able to find before. And this is what allowed us to build more segmented prospect lists and what allowed us also to save a lot of time in our research. I mentioned our team, and I really love our team. What they used to do is, if they couldn't find someone's email address, they would manually build a Google sheet of all potential first name and last name combinations, reach out to all of these emails through their personal email addresses, a Gmail address, and just check which email got delivered. So this is crazy, right? And this waterfall enrichment just takes a few seconds for every prospect. This is another workflow I built on Clay just for showcasing it. It's something we use when we're actually about to jump on a call with someone, or when we want to target someone really specific. What it does, and I've just added the output there, is you enter any LinkedIn profile. It'll go and fetch the company description for the company that that person is working on. It'll fetch the main responsibilities of the job, what the company does, and the role challenges. So the challenges that that person might face in their job. So if you're trying to help people with your solutions or your software, you want to understand and you want to know what problems they face. And Clay just allows you to do that with a few clicks. In our case, if you're trying to read the description, I used our outbound strategist's details. This is Panos's details. Panos, if you're watching this, lots of love. So I used him as an experiment there. And, that's exactly what you can do with Clay. You can literally build crazy workflows. It's just by itself is probably worth doing an entire workshop just to go through Clay workflows and how you can target commerce stores, companies funding, anything really that you want to do. Now, that was the first part, how to nail your audience, how to build prospect lists, literally of tens of thousands of people. One thing I didn't mention, by the way, is once you set up a workflow like this, once you have that in place, there's no limit to the amount of prospects you can generate. So the way it works is maybe it takes 1 hour to build a workflow that works, build a workflow that produces prospects that fit your ICP. Once you have that, and once you test it maybe with 10 prospects, you can literally just click enrich more prospects and get really large lists of 10,000 plus prospects just in a few minutes. So a process that used to take us maybe weeks or months to deliver now literally just takes a few minutes. So when I say that you have to identify your total addressable market, and potentially generate all the prospects within that market, it is also something that now is doable. Because in the past, you had to spend a lot of energy, or you had to have a team of data analysts to do a lot of scraping. Now, literally anyone that can use software can actually get this done. The only caveat, and I'm going to mention it because I had a friend complaining, is that Clay uses credits to make those data workflows work. So you pay the way you pay is you pay using credits. You have to be able to sacrifice a few credits to make a workflow work. That's the only thing. Now, nailing the messaging, I have some really interesting facts here. So let's assume you've built your prospect lists. That's perfect. We know who we're targeting. Now, next step is how do we message them? And this is something that's true for any messaging, whether you're looking at an ad or anything else. Marketing that's not personalized is spam. That's it. So the anatomy of a cold email, and I'm making it really brief and really specific so we can move on to the ChatGPT and the AI personalization part, is at least something you can really easily replicate. Observation, something about their company that's happening, maybe using intent data. So you saw that they got funding, you saw that they hired 10 team members, 10 BDRs, they implemented new software, whatever it might be. This allows us to answer the question, why target our company? The problem, implications, or opportunity based on the observation. The observation could be, and it doesn't have to be negative, the observation could be, hey, I saw you're a software company based in France, and Emmanuel Macron just released a mandate that says that there's a lot of funding, there's 100 million plus dollars that are being given to software companies that implement AI. Are you looking for a partner to help you do that? So that by itself is not a problem. It's an opportunity in your market, but you're using an observation, the type of company maybe that they own or anything else that's relevant, to then go into problem, a solution. So why pick us? What is the dream outcome? What's the transformation or the element that we're helping you achieve? And then finally, the call to action, not get a call booked, but how can we move forward? I have just one example to make it really clear. This is a cold email copywriting platform. It's a really popular one in the outbound space. The observation is that the company they're targeting is hiring. So, hey, Jake, I saw you're hiring for BDRs. I'm guessing you're already thinking about how you'll ramp the new reps, how the reps can, increase the bandwidth of positive replies and demo calls they book. What is the problem? Usually we see customers lean on templates. So the BDRs use email templates and they don't really work. So their replies drop to the floor. What's the dream outcome? We're helping reps, BDRs at HubSpot, a company that's really reputable if you're a software business, ramp faster and continue improving with our inbox assistant. That's the dream outcome, right? Like we're helping a really big company that you can recognize if you're in marketing and sales achieve your ideal result, which is ramp faster using a specific software, I guess, the inbox assistant. And then the CTA is really simple, worth the conversation. And in most cases, people know that if someone's reaching out to you, you can respond back and actually jump on a demo call or anything that might make sense. Email marketing agency, I did another one. I lied. It was not this one. Hey, Anna, Lemworm is a good solution to improve your email deliverability. What's the opportunity? Have you ever sent hand-coded HTML emails? That's how many e-commerce stores land on the inbox. Sephora, a brand obviously you recognize, increased deliverability by 2x and email revenue grew 200% in 3 months with us. Should we talk more? You have your messaging, right? Like that's probably the outline of email number one. But we're not done. Obviously, when you have a prospect, your email flows should look a little bit like this. You have at least 3 to 4 emails in the first sequence that you send, and then when the flow is over, you don't just sacrifice the prospect. You reach out again every 3 to 4 months. So the reason why you want to identify your total addressable market is you want to be able to calculate, okay, if there is indeed 100,000 companies there, and I'm reaching out to 3,000 companies, how can I make sure that I reach out to the companies I reach out to, I reach out 3 to 4 times a year, so that if they're on the top of the funnel, and maybe it's not the right time, if you're selling web development, it also has to be a matter of timing, right? Like someone is either looking to get their website developed or they're not. There's not many things you can say to convince them otherwise. So if you reach out enough times, at the end, the prospect is going to be in a place where they're interested in your services. So what about AI? I built a prompt. It's really easy. I'll have it in the freebies at the end. It goes a little bit like this. You're a cold email expert. Your goal is to write cold emails. The format of the email is the one we just saw before: observation, then the problem, then solution, soft call to action, and then a few instructions. Keep the email short, and just if you understood the above, reply yes and stay silent, and that way you have time to add the brief. And this is the actual brief. Write the cold email to, and you add your ICP, your main persona, the pain point, then the company name, the solution that you offer, whether it's software, if you're an agency, notable case studies, and that's pretty much it. A few follow-up prompts, because the email might actually be good from the first try, but a lot of times I've seen that the results are not that good. There's three main optimizations: typically optimizing the tone, making it more friendly or more conversational. So you can literally ask, can you make the tone sound more friendly and conversational? Call to action optimization, optimizing it for higher response rates. You can also try that, or angle optimization if you want the focus of the email to be something more specific. Subject lines, again, the prompt is really easy. Write 10 subject lines, less than 4 words, attention grabbing, and creating them as a table so that they're a bit easier to use. And then for follow-up emails, my follow-up emails are typically really brief and to the point. The first follow-up is a short reminder or follow-up. The second one includes a case study. So in that part of the prompt, you have to include a relevant case study results. And the third email is a breakup email. These are actual emails that I've copywritten using ChatGPT, like from subject lines to email 1 and email 2. And yeah, that was the max of what we had thought to use ChatGPT for, right? Like, okay, I want to write the cold email sequence faster. Let's use ChatGPT to either ideate or create an A/B test and be done with it faster. But that's not the best use of AI. If you're using Clay, and I'm going to go back to the workflow I just mentioned, and you've built a list of prospects and you know their current situation and you've enriched their LinkedIn profile, so you know what the challenges that they face, you know what their company does, you can actually use Clay to write personalized emails, or at least a personalized interline for literally every single prospect. That has a lot of benefits. Obviously, the relevance goes up, and that means your responses go up, positive responses. And also, if the emails are personalized, the chances of you landing in the spam folder drop significantly, because Google assumes that every email that you send is different just because it's personalized, or it's just unique compared to the other emails that you send. And that means that it's a unique one, and therefore is not spam. So a lot of tricks you can do there, from including the company description to write like a one-liner, including job responsibilities, the profile description, maybe even what their company is doing in general, and just asking Clay to do that for you. If you don't want to use Clay, yeah, and this would be the last part in the workflow. So you do everything, you enrich the table, and then you have one step where Clay copyrights your emails, and you export all of that, you import it into your cold email software. But you can also use something that's almost cheap, like GPT for Sheets and Docs. This is an actual example. I can't zoom in the slides anymore, but you can do that afterwards. You import the prospect list, you include the company description from LinkedIn, and then you can use GPT for Sheets or Clay to write a personalized email 1, just based on the company description. So your relevance can just be that, hey, because your company does A, B, and C, there's a good chance we are a good fit. Now, having discussed AI personalization, and obviously feel free to send over any questions on the chat. I do have to make a small disclaimer. Using generative AI does not eliminate the need for understanding the big problem, having sales triggers, crafting a good offer, and having solid case studies. It just makes copywriting and personalization faster and easier. But unless you have a solid foundation for your outreach and a good strategy, it's just not going to work no matter what you do. So no amount of personalization or using AI is going to solve a lacking offer, a website that does not convert, and a messaging that's just boring. Now, two last elements when it comes to copywriting, and this is something brand new that I've started using. The interesting part and an important part of your success is answering why now, right? So you're reaching out to someone and you want to give them a reason why they should act now, not in 3 months or in a year and 10 years. And there's really obvious reasons, both inside and outside the environment of the company. So for example, seasonal events You can say, hey, Super Bowl's approaching, all the brands are creating new ads. Would you like a free version, a free rewrite of your ad copy or whatever it might be? Relevant research and publications, security and compliance risks. Hey, we saw that WordPress just released an update. It's a security bug. All the platforms, the WordPress websites have it. Would you like us to fix it for you for free? And that's how you start the relationship. It could also be upcoming regulations and laws. When GDPR started, obviously everyone was trying to find out what to do, what they need to do. Could also be government funding. The example I mentioned about France is actually real. Like they did release a big part of their budget dedicated to AI research and AI strategy. Many other companies did the same. What if you started and said, hey, government is offering funding, the EU is offering different programs. Do you want to take advantage of that and work together with us? It could also be tech advancements. This platform, just got created, or you can now use AI to personalize your emails. Do you want to work together? And even company updates from competitors. Hey, I just saw your competitor did this, or a leader in the business did this in your industry. Do you want to replicate the same? And then one of the key ingredients we use, at least within the confines of Sales Captain, we call it expert panels. And here's the rationale, right? When you're creating a cold email, you want to understand the problem and the situation and the potential solutions that your target audience is trying to find and working with as fast as you can. Because unless you do that, people are not going to respond to your cold email, or they're just going to respond by saying you're a spammer. So you have a vested interest in understanding their situation as fast as you can. So the way we do that is we get typically 4 to 5 subject matter experts from the industry that we're targeting to review our offer and our messaging and provide us feedback. The goal is to uncover, obviously, the real problem that the niche is facing, learning the industry terms. And that's why I said before, e-commerce is not a niche, right? If you're reaching out to pet products company, they probably have specific terms, specific language that they use. If you learn to speak that language, the chances that they'll respond positively increases because they understand that you know who you are, who they are. A really funny example, and this has nothing to do with personalization, but it just goes on to show how relevance matters. Is we started reaching out to maritime companies and shipping companies from Sales Captain. And because my last name just obviously tells I'm Greek, we got at least 1 or 2 responses of people that said Greeks really understand shipping, and that's why we jumped on a call with you to see, if you have anything relevant. So this is literally, obviously my last name is not an industry term, or is not relevant language, but if you use that, the chances that you'll get a response increase. Obviously, the experts are not doing that for free. You can pay them about $100 an hour for the session, and typically within 1 hour, you can show them your messaging, you can show them your assumptions, and get as much feedback as you need. That was the second part. Drop any questions on the chat. This is how you do both AI personalization, and this is how you can create messaging literally in a few minutes and understand your audience faster than before. And now that we have that, a really interesting part and something that goes hand in hand with the messaging is obviously the offer, because what you're selling is literally connected to what you're going to say in your email. It goes with the problem that someone's facing, it goes with the solutions that you offer, and it also is tied with the urgency. And if you're a software business, I have really good news for you. Typically, it's really easy to create a killer offer for a software business. Your USP is typically the offer itself, and that's what solves the problem. If you're an agency, I don't have good news for you. I mean, the bad news are you have to work on creating a good offer. The good news is I've identified 5 elements that can turn any offer into a good offer really, really fast, and you can select any of those you like. This is what it looks like when your offer is not optimized. This is outreach for an SEO agency. The response we got was, hey, Anna, thanks for reaching out, but how are you different to all other SEO agencies out there? Thank you. So there's not much you can respond back to that, right? So cold email doesn't work without a good offer. The first element that makes cold email work and makes an offer good is building a personal brand. If you're in the marketing industry, you probably have heard of Eric Sue, Alex Hormozy, Nick Shackelford, Alex Catoni. These are really prominent marketers or people who talk about marketing and business. And chances are, if someone from Eric Sue's or Alex Hormozy's agency reached out to your brand, you would have probably said, okay, sure, let's jump on a call. I know Alex, so it will be really interesting to see how he or his business can help. That's an obvious one, right? Everyone can build a personal brand, but it does take time and it does take a lot of consistency. The second one is targeting a fast-growing market, and this was a really interesting unlock for me. And what I mean here is what an agency does, or what a service business does, at least if we're focusing on those businesses, is solve the mismatch of I'm looking for X talent and the market does not have X talent. A really obvious example is AI, right? Right now in the market, everyone's looking for AI engineers. If you talk to them in Silicon Valley, they're getting paid 300,000 a year, $400,000 a year, plus bonus options, et cetera, et cetera. And not many people know how to implement AI. So if you're offering AI services with your agency, chances are it's going to be really interesting and really easy to get responses because you're offering something that the market actually needs right now. Three examples: AI implementation, short form content, TikTok advertising. Not many brands know how to do it still. A really obvious example, Sir Martin Sorrell is the guy who literally had WPP, one of the largest conglomerates of advertising agencies. His agency, Media Monks, is crowned Adweek's first ever AI agency of the year for 2023. They're going big on artificial intelligence services, obviously because they know that the market is going to be looking for that. So they want to be there to get, to attract that audience. The third one, and probably one of my favorite ones, and one that everyone can really do, and it's not really that hard, it just requires a different wiring in your brain, is dominating a specific market, not just the specific industry, but also physically. So if you only work with accounting firms in Los Angeles and you help them achieve a specific result, chances are that every other law firm in that same space, in that same location, is going to be, wanting to work with you. So if you reach out and say, hey, we help accounting firms in Los Angeles, and here are 100+ case studies, we've worked with firms A, B, and C that you already know, chances are they would want to work with you. A really good example for that is a company called Gene. It's an actual agency, and they only work with software brands. They work with healthcare software brands, to be precise, with disruptive healthcare software brands. So if you're not a software brand, or if you're not doing something fast, and if you're not growing fast, they don't care about working with you. And that's what makes their offer so much better than anything else that's out there. The fourth one, and this comes straight from Alex Hormozi, is providing 10 times more value. Everyone sees cold email as an annoyance, something that they have to tolerate, something that's on their inbox. But what if we could turn things around and a cold email is actually something that's useful and something that we like and something that we're expecting? How do we do that? We provide more value than anything else in their inbox right now. It's showing them that just by opening their email, opening the email that we sent them, they'll get a positive response. In the case of Pixelfix, we can offer a free 3D model render, right? Like something that typically costs $200, $300, $400. If you offer it for free, and if you give them an example from the website that you've just turned a product into a 3D model, what are the chances they won't want to have a conversation with you? Similarly, in our case, Sales Captain, if we offer a business 5,000 prospects from their ICP and we just give them over the list, why would they not want to at least respond with us and engage with us or add us on LinkedIn? For an SEO agency, third example, let's tell a brand, I'll rewrite your top ranking pages. I'll rewrite the meta descriptions for you for free, and you can maybe use AI to do it and allow you to rank really faster than anything else you've seen. This is something to do with Sales Captain. And then the last, offering a very specialized service. So go then on something that only you can be really good at. Instead of offering e-com services, do 3D product content. This is honestly one of the things that has allowed Pixelfix to grow so fast. Obviously, besides our cold email expertise, it was the fact that we focused on something so specific that not many other companies were doing. Another friend of mine, he just built a link in profile, but just for the storefront of local stores. And that's something that is growing really well just because they focus on something that's specific. If you're looking to build an optimized offer, or if you're looking to identify how your offer compares to the market, especially if you're an agency, you know what to do. Within the bonus section, I have added the link to the Google Sheet and then cold email infrastructure. So we've discussed how to identify prospects, how to build prospect lists faster. We've then seen how to use cold email to copywrite a lot faster and personalize. We've then seen how to turn a boring offer into an offer that everyone's likely to respond to. And then the next part is called email infrastructure, and something that probably has caused a lot of tears, especially in 2024. So what's the biggest problem with cold email? I've always wanted to show these slides. It's the spam folder. I used to say that this is the folder that which shall not be named, but it's just so easy to end up on the spam folder or the promotions folder. This is how easy. You start a Google account, you connect it to your cold email software, you end up on the spam folder. It just doesn't get easier. So what's the secret to landing on the primary tab? The first one is warm up. Obviously, this is something everyone has to be doing. We typically use Lumworm and let our emails get warmed up for 3 to 4 weeks before start sending campaigns. And then even after the campaigns are live, we keep the email warm up part on, and we only reach out to about 40 to 50 prospects per email account. I know you can send literally hundreds of emails from every inbox every day, but we stick to at least 40 and 50. And then a really big game changer for us was changing and moving away from Google. If I haven't already told you guys, and if you haven't already noticed, starting February of 2024, Google has become super aggressive about not helping us land on the inbox like at all. And this has impacted everyone involved in marketing, whether you do cold email or email marketing. And it just becomes really unreliable to continue relying on their inboxes. So what we've been using, part of our infrastructure is called MailForge. It's literally inboxes. It looks like a Google inbox, but it does not get blocked. At least it doesn't get blocked from Google. So we use MailForge. We keep it to 30 emails sent from every inbox, and it allows you to scale your inboxes and create a lot of them really fast. And then the other part is we have removed Gmail addresses and personal contacts from our lists entirely. We were literally a few hours ago reviewing a campaign towards photographers that we onboard for Pixelfix, and because these guys typically use their Gmail, they'll even include it on the website, right? Like they use Gmail as their business email, so it's not like they're doing something wrong. They just don't want to set up a branded domain, and we used to reach out to those Gmail addresses. If you're a freelance photographer, why would we not reach out? Well, that campaign went from 40 to 60% open rate to 10%. So we were reviewing the stats and we come across that drop and we were like, what's going on here? And then we're like, oh, this is targeting freelancers who typically use Gmail addresses. And then we did the research, and about 70 to 80% of the emails in that list were Gmail addresses. And Google has already said that, starting February, if your spam complaint rate for sending to Gmail addresses is above 0.3%, which is incredibly low, or if you just get reported as a spammer a lot, and if you reach out to Gmail addresses, your entire domain is blocked from emailing Google customers. So obviously we don't want to do that. And then along with that, there's no more open rate and no more click-through rate. So in a lot of our campaigns, we've started phasing out tracking the open rate and the click-through rate. So the question becomes, okay, if we don't know how many people open the emails and click them, which seems already unorthodox, what do we need to be tracking? So the first one is the reply rate, and then the number of positive replies. So for every campaign, you need to aim for a specific number of positive replies. And more importantly, the engagement rate and the meetings booked. Meetings booked from cold email campaigns, I think that is really obvious. The engagement rate, we've built a really easy formula. So it's the number of positive replies divided by the number of total replies. So how many negative replies does it take for you to generate a positive reply? Anything above 20%, 25%. So if at least 1 out of 4 replies is positive, means that your campaign is doing good enough. And because we're discussing the infrastructure, obviously a really important part of that is your team. As I said, we had a really big team of analysts, of people just literally doing manual research. In 2024 and onwards, that has changed a little bit to a lot. So we have the outbound strategist who's building the strategy. We have the technical expert who's in charge of the infrastructure. Obviously, if our inboxes are only sending out 30 emails a day, we need a lot of inboxes. So someone needs to be managing that and checking the deliverability and the health checks. We do have data analysts still, but their job is to do much more segmented work. And then a conversion copywriter, which allows us to A/B test messaging and look into personalization at scale. Now, again, one more element out of the way, cold email infrastructure is not something that is relatively technical, at least if you've been in the outbound space, but it's something that you just have to get right. And website and socials, and you're like, okay, how does this fit with Outbound? Well, it fits in a really straightforward way. Prospects visit your website and your socials before they respond. And we actually uncovered this really in a really funny way for Pixifix itself, because I promised I'll talk a bit about the case study. We actually updated the website in the period of 2 to 3 years. We updated the website twice. Every time we updated the website, we made sure to include specific elements in the website. I'll show you in a bit. And every time we saw the positive response rate or engagement rate increase. So the number of positive replies just increased without us doing anything. And we were wondering, okay, what's happening? How is this, the case? Through a lot of analytics and digging deep into the data, we found this. If prospects recognize the company that's reaching out to them, they'll visit the LinkedIn profile of the person that's featured in the campaign. If not, they'll visit the website. What do I mean by that? If someone from Microsoft reaches out, let's say head of sales at EMEA or UK, I don't need to go to Microsoft.com to identify who's coming from the business. I just need to check what's this guy doing, which part of Microsoft is he involved in, how high up in the hierarchy chain is he or she, and that's typically what most of us do. We'll check out the website, and if we resonate, then we'll respond. So the easiest and most obvious thing to do is then optimizing your homepage, your website. And you cannot imagine the number of times we start working with someone and then we go to the website and we see that there's a really big mess. And it's not that hard. Like, there's a few things you need to be doing in order for this to be easy and in order to make your cold email campaign succeed. The first one is clear title on your website and the description. And along with that, a call to action, right? A call to action that makes sense. Addressing your audience and making the call to action visible and clear. Plus, logos of relevant clients. That's all you need. There was one of the companies we started working with. They help companies in the infrastructure space and the energy space. And specifically, they work with companies that deploy wind turbines. But there was no mention of the word wind turbines and wind turbine inspection, which is what they do, anywhere on the homepage itself. So you go to a website, yeah, you see some wind turbines, but you have no idea what they do. Do they deploy them? Do they sell them? Do they maintain them? What exactly is it that they do? And there was no call to action other than contact us, which was just hidden on the menu. So all these optimizations, really basic, but we typically forget to do them. And then from the menu itself, linking to landing pages, the services, lead magnets, and case studies. And I'll talk about them in a little bit. So landing pages, this is probably the most impactful thing that we've done to optimize our cold emails ever. Segmenting landing pages by industry. So with Pixifix, we were reaching out to e-commerce businesses that have an e-commerce store. And obviously, e-commerce is not a niche, right? And as soon as we realized that, we started building specific landing pages for apparel businesses, for enterprise businesses, for different types, for furniture businesses, for food supplies, any different category that we cater to, and every different sub-industry we cater to, we would have a landing page, because people really want to read things that are personalized to them, not spam, right? So that's the first type of landing page that we started building. They don't have to be complex. You just build them and include them on your menu. And then you can do by problem, what types of problems are you solving, by feature or solution, and then by department in the business. If you're targeting large enterprises where the USP for the tech department versus marketing versus sales is different. A really good example, even though it's not a B2B website, is ClickUp. ClickUp's navigation, you can see it yourselves, is just amazing. Like, they've included every potential use case and breakdown that you can have there. The other big update, again, this is the Pixifix website. This is what it looked like before. We had one services page, one page for enterprise businesses, because we assumed that somehow prospects are going to resonate with whatever that meant. A pricing page, an about this page, and a book a demo page. And this is the website after. So we did keep the services page, but we built a work samples page, which allowed people to see the outcome of our work, case studies in a different case. And we also built landing pages for every different sub-industry we cater to. So apparel, furniture, jewelry, footwear. Each one of those had its own page with brands from that sector. So if you're an apparel brand, you'll see Gap, you'll see Fashion Nova, you'll see JCPenney, you'll see the targeted brands we work with. If you're in furniture, you'll see work samples catering to furniture. Similarly for jewelry and footwear. And that way you don't really have to ask us, hey, do you work with any companies from that sector? And literally that part, just building a new website and making sure that these components are there, allowed us to 3x our positive replies. Like that's it, we didn't do anything else. The last part when it comes to the website and the way we were able to identify those improvements is obviously using Clearbit website visitors report or lead feeder to identify what companies are coming to the website so that we can know that, hey, they saw the cold email and then they researched us and found the website. And the second one is we use Microsoft Clarity, which is free, to identify what paths in the website people take and if there's an actual drop-off from people who come from cold email. The last one, obviously, high converting LinkedIn profile. We did have, once again, we've learned everything the hard way. We had a client who, for whatever reason, they didn't want to have a profile photo on their LinkedIn profile and they didn't want to have a cover or any mention of what they do. And we had a second client. It was an agency that we did outreach and they had built a software product. We were doing outreach for the software product. People were curious and were clicking their LinkedIn profiles. And there was no mention of the software product on LinkedIn. And then you're like, okay, how do you expect me to buy that? So optimizing a LinkedIn profile really is not that complicated. As long as you have a cover image that has your USP, a good headshot, nothing crazy, featuring case studies or educational content in your case studies in your featured section, having an up-to-date work experience that includes the main USPs of the product you sell, and avoiding sales in the job title because no one wants to buy from a salesperson. Everyone wants to buy from the expert or the decision maker. And this leads us to the last part, which is what I call the content boosters and the relevant content you need in order for your outbound campaigns to receive. It all started with this realization. Decision makers, people who purchase software products, hire agencies, they love talking to other decision makers who have experience and they don't like talking to salespeople. And this is not my quote. This is from a company that's done amazingly well, a software business that has done really well through literally providing thought leadership content. This section is copy paste from a client of ours that we worked with, an agency, marketing agency, that was able to book calls with some really big companies and global heads of marketing, managers, and titles like that, simply because they were getting featured on Adweek and relevant publications every single week. The content itself doesn't need to be on a media website, doesn't need to be on a publisher. It can just be on a LinkedIn post. And the benefit of that is if you create LinkedIn content that performs really, really well, that gets 1,000 likes, that gets 100 impressions plus, is you can then target the people within LinkedIn who interact with your content to actually sell to them using cold email. And this is one of the greatest hacks in 2024 in B2B marketing that no one's talking about. It's how to do cold email right, but it's also the fact that LinkedIn has copied the TikTok algorithm in the sense that you can now go viral on LinkedIn if your content is good because you're not limited to your content being seen by your first degree connections. So if you recall about a year or two ago, LinkedIn content was really boring. LinkedIn probably got jealous. Someone from LinkedIn or the Microsoft team got jealous of TikTok and their success. And they said, if content around a specific industry or around a specific topic performs well, we will show it to the second and third degree connections of that person so that they can engage with it and so that content on the platform becomes better for everyone. So essentially what's happening right now, because not a lot of people create content in B2B, the ones that create relevant content for their audience around specific topics for specific industries end up receiving all the engagement on LinkedIn. A competitor of ours, Panos, just sent this to me about 2 hours ago, said or pretended to say that they stopped doing cold email because they get all of their leads just by going viral on LinkedIn. So that's one. The second one is having case studies and materials by ICP. When people respond to you to your cold email, they're gonna ask for relevant case studies. 9 out of 10 times they'll ask, have you worked with a company like ours? Or how have similar brands to ours worked or worked out? Unless you have those materials prepared in advance, you're either gonna get stuck doing a lot of last minute work, which is gonna burn you out, or you're gonna lose the moment of opportunity. We typically produce at least the case studies and relevant deck for every industry and sub-industry we reach out to. And then the trick that we do is we host it on a platform called Doc or Relay to. And then we share links with the prospects to that platform. They can see the content on the platform, and we can also see how they engage with that content. And that allows us to follow up if we see that they start engaging with the content a crazy amount of times. Now, another really cool trick that we've started implementing just recently is having lead magnets and relevant resources. As I said, only about 5 to 10% of your market is looking to buy right now and is looking to jump on a call with you right now. But what if you create content that engages them, that turns them into a marketing qualified lead that helps them land on your marketing inbox instead of just landing you a sales call? And then over time, you can continue nurturing them. And when they're ready, they'll buy. So because we're using essentially cold email as an advertising channel, right? Like it's a really targeted advertising channel that allows us to reach out to the audience we like. We don't want to waste that audience, right? If someone's not ready to buy right now, obviously we'll reach out again for 5 or 6 months, but we do want them to be to engage with us and ideally to want to receive marketing communication from us. And that's where having free resources on the website, from an ROI calculator, on-demand webinars, gated content, campaign audits. We're building that for Sales Captain, comes in really handy because people want to engage with your content and want to learn a bit more about their specific use case and how they can benefit. So by having that, you can maximize the amount of people that when you reach out to, if they're not ready to buy right now, they'll at least engage with your marketing resources and they can end up in your CRM. Another one is quarterly live webinars. And we know that these work really well, both to attract new audiences, but also to help you educate and nurture your existing prospects. Because again, not everyone's going to buy right now. And if you approach outreach as a game of short-term luck, how many companies can we reach out to this month that are ready to buy? You'll either sacrifice the enterprise part of your outreach, or you're gonna be having really short-lived results. So having the content and having the recordings and having people engage with you in other means gives your brand and your company a face, provides value to the market, and then when people are ready, they can go ahead and consume your content. Another one that we did that was really interesting, was a really fun experiment. It's something that I haven't seen many brands do, and we started implementing it at Sales Captain, as I call it, biweekly wins emails. So let's say a prospect responds to us, but they don't want to book a call, or they end up booking a call and then they don't want to move forward right now, or they need some more time to think about it. Okay, that's fine. How do we remain relevant? What we did is we built essentially kind of like a newsletter, but we deliver it using cold email, so it will land on the inbox every time. And what we do is it's a really unusual cold email. We just share wins, webinars, case studies, new use cases, guides, free content, anything that allows us to provide value to the prospects, keep them up to date with what we're doing. And then when they're ready, it's really easy for them to reactivate. And we literally had at least 4 people who started the sales process with us, left the sales process, and then got reactivated just because they received an email. And 2 of them said, "Oh wow, like I can't believe that your cold email doesn't even have a call to action," because we didn't have a call to action. We just said, "Hey, this is what we do. What's up? How are things on your end?" And these elements, especially the content part, is what allows cold email to become from something that spammers do and something that spammers use to something that allows you to unlock enterprise sales. Again, work reduce. This is an amazing case study. They had a shitty website. I got blinded every time I visited the website. I mean, I haven't seen a website having search on the top right in at least 5 years, and we were able to get them 65 sales calls in a period of 9 months. Not with just anybody, but with Live Nation, BlackRock, Autodesk, and similar companies like that. And BlackRock, for example, it was the global head of media buying. It was not, some low-level intern. So it does work for enterprises, but you just need to have the infrastructure and the mindset that this is not a one thing that I turn on 1 month and it just succeeds. So next steps, and I can't believe it hasn't taken us 1.5 hours. We went through the usual cold email campaign, right? This is what most cold email campaigns work. Inconsistent results, email accounts getting blocked even more frequently. You're exhausting your leads. You have no idea where you're going to find the new leads from. You get low response rates and you don't know how to fix it. So the Perfect 5 is an amazing framework that you can use, and you can use that lens in order to see your campaigns in a new light And whether you're looking to do more mass emailing versus more selective emailing and reaching out to specific audiences, it allows you to fine-tune the parts in your process and actually make it work. So, I want to leave you with a positive win and a positive note. If you recall Pixofix, literally about a week ago, we got a call booked from Gap out of nowhere, and this was just part of our marketing activities. So, something that started in a brand that started with a team in Asia, no marketing, a website that, got me blind for half a week, um, ended up having such amazing wins and talking to brands that we would have never imagined that we would be able to talk to. And I like to make things fun. I have prepared a few cold email secrets from the Terminator. So keep these three in mind. Terminator came back in time to protect John Connor. Not everyone in the tech industry that has a website. So when you're building your prospect lists, when you're identifying your prospects, try to be really segmented. Try to think about literally the most narrow use case and the most narrow types of brands, and build many smaller campaigns that include personalized messaging, as opposed to one big campaign that's gonna, aiming to reach out to all e-commerce stores. The second one is remove any guilt about sending cold emails. If you're doing it right and following the principles and the practices I've shared, you're actually providing value to someone who needs it, because you're reaching out in a relevant moment to someone from a relevant industry, showing them how you've helped companies like theirs, not just, hey, oh, we've worked with a few companies, achieve a really specific result. And then the third one is you're not a spammer, don't act like one. And the biggest thing I want to leave you with is this one. I posted a reel this noon announcing the webinar, and someone responded, this is on my Instagram, hey Bill, I'm in Nigeria, what can I do with cold email? And someone made fun of them, but the point was, the number one blocker with cold email is mindset. I've used cold email to get a response from Satya Nadella, interview Ariana Huffington, get responses from all the brands that you've seen, get Scott Galloway and interview him for AdWorld, and literally reach the inbox of almost every person in the world I want to. Yes, I know that if you want to reach out to Elon Musk, you'll probably end up talking to his assistant or the person who's managing a specific part of his business, but you can still get your message across. So if you have the opportunity and if you have the channel that allows you to be literally on every single person's inbox on the planet that you want, why don't you? What's stopping you? So it was that unlock that made me like, okay, wow, like this is probably the biggest shift that's gonna give you the mindset to succeed. Don't reach out to anyone in the world that has a website. Don't reach out to anyone in the world that's in e-commerce business. Reach out really selectively to the companies and the people that have the ability to get a good result and have a mutually beneficial result. Now, next steps, you can scan the QR code. There's a lot of bonuses. I'm giving access to my book called Email Secrets for free, the Kindle version just for tonight. I ended up ruining the surprise. Go ahead and access that. There's a few hidden bonuses depending on where you're at in your journey with cold email. And I hope this has been entertaining, this has been useful, and it allows you to really find at least some of the success that we've been able to find with cold email.